Simon & Schuster AudioWorks presents Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Meg,
I forgot how to count for a second. Like, I was insane. Like, I don't know how that happened. But as we were counting in, I just numbers like stopped making sense for a second.
That happens sometimes. I get that.
My
it's like when I was
stroke.
at the Brazilian place the other week, and I went to pay, and it didn't accept the contactless, so I had to type in my PIN, and I remembered it perfectly, but because I stumbled a bit on the muscle memory, it made me reconsider my memory. And then I went, oh, I need to wait. Hold on, give me a minute, because I need to reset my brain before doing this again. Yeah,
and everyone went, he doesn't have the money, he's a brokey, he's trying to get out of paying.
Very sad.
Yeah.
So sad that I'm going to divert the conversation away from this to avoid upsetting me further and ruining the episode. Max, I have an idea for a protest.
An idea?
What do you mean for the great idea, for concept for a protest that everybody could maybe get behind if they like the idea?
Is it what are we protesting in this process? Is it just, or is it like how to protest? Is that what you're coming up with?
No, it's a new topic of protest.
Okay.
That we can protest around.
Okay.
And hopefully it'll be as big as the one over the weekend. It's called Some Kings.
Some Kings? Okay, yeah. That's pretty good.
So obviously over the weekend, No Kings was all popular. Everybody was protesting No Kings, which is weird because we only they don't have any in America. But I don't know. Maybe they think they're a monarchy. I don't know.
George Washington there was like a bit where he could have became a king, but he didn't.
There was a whole Assassin's Creed DLC about that.
Exactly. I get my American history.
Where I think you get like mystical powers in that one. I didn't play that. I played like the first couple hours of Assassin's Creed 3, and it was not very good.
Yeah, well. And so
what American one?
What's the Some Kings about?
Well, people would it's kind of basically it's kind of the opposite. In that I'm trying to get into contrarianism.
Oh, you're getting into it?
I'm getting into it. I feel like I've lived my life going with the flow too much. Now I kind of want to go against the flow. I want to see what that's like.
Yeah.
So I'm dipping my toe into contrarianism.
You're going into your rebellious phase of your life, but like
you might notice over this episode that I contradict Max on a few things more than usual.
Interesting.
Because I'm trying something new. I'm exploring myself. You know, but intellectually instead of like sexually or anything.
Yeah.
You know,
you wanna explore the depths of your mind instead of your holes. Yeah.
The greatest hole of all, the brain.
The brain.
Yep.
All right, so
Some Kings.
Some Kings.
How does that sound to you?
Do you have
It's like a counter protest.
Do you have anyone particular that you want to put up as like your figurehead that you want to potentially become a king of, I guess, America? I guess if we're just as becoming even more contrarian of like getting into other countries' politics, you know?
I don't really know what the main goal of the protest would be, to be honest. But I think that's in keeping of the No Kings one, which I think I don't know if they were going for anything other than like expressing the dislike of Trump, right?
Yeah, anti-authoritarianism and stuff, right? Tyranny, you know.
Yeah.
So in this case, you're like pro-tyrant? Oh, so you're saying you're like, we just need
I don't know. No, I don't know if well, you know what? Contrarianism. Hold on. I need to reframe this in my brain. Hold on.
You're going
back? I was about to say no, but I mean, everybody dislikes authoritarianism at this point, right? So I need to think maybe there are some benefits to it. How do we get to those benefits?
Yeah.
Without trial and error. You know?
Without trial and error, just...
Without trial. We've had some trials and they've led to errors. Does that mean we need to stop the trial and error of society? No, come on.
Let's give it a go again.
Let's keep going. You know what? America come back to the UK monarchy.
Just
Because our monarchy isn't really doing anything, you know.
Okay.
Because we have the parliament that actually.
So is the parliament then becoming the de facto
No.
like government of America?
No, parliament. We keep that over here. Mm-hmm. See, it's still contrarian because you had a different idea, and I'm going to.
Okay, that's good.
Parliament
is
for us. We keep that. That's ours. Mm-hmm. But the king and all his little people that he made, his people, the monarchy,
guys,
they go over to America, just like the prince did with his wife. They become a big American stars. They start ruling America.
That's true. That's like an export. They send them out, you know, throw them over the ocean. Yeah, that's true.
So and, some kings is the protest, and the goal is to get the monarchy of England to become the monarchy of America.
Well, didn't Trump say that at some point that he wanted to go under the United Kingdom umbrella for some reason? Like it was like a throwaway comment he made for some dumb reason.
I don't remember that, but assuming he did, I need to go contrarian to that.
Yeah,
and I would say no. They're not coming under our wing. We're still keeping separate with Parliament. Okay. They're getting the monarchy.
Okay.
Which will be separating from us in the UK.
That's true. Well, I like where this move. We should get on that.
You like the idea of this movement?
I do like the idea, and I like how like you can kind of like slip into the no kings protest and kind of just go some kings, and people don't realize you're the entire time people are shouting like no kings.
Yeah, it's
no
like
king.
It's like a Daffy Duck.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny kind of deal.
Exactly, yeah.
They're going, no kings. I'm going, some kings. They're going, no kings. I say, some kings. They go, no kings. I say, no kings. Now they're going, some kings.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how you...
There you go. I bait and switched them. Exactly. I'm glad you're understanding what I'm putting down.
I think we're giving a CIA a PSYOP idea currently.
That's basically all they did for like 30 years, right? Was like some Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
There was a whole wing of them doing Looney Tunes shit to try and kill Castro.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And
they were like, what if we get a gold bar and melt it down into bullets and then give him the bullets? And then say that it's in vogue in the US to shoot yourself in the head with gold. And then he'll do it. What if we do that?
Yeah. Or MK Ultra and even people are like they're trying to induce that state for drugs, you know, switching this thing.
It's interesting that all that shit was like 100% like part of why there were serial killers in America as well.
What the MK like
the MK Ultra stuff.
Oh yeah, because like didn't they say that like Charles Manson and stuff was also like
the people that went on to kill a bunch of people had ties to like taking part in the MK Ultra, and it's not that I'm not saying it was intentional, but there is a correlation there, right?
Those were the bad eggs, you know,
right?
Like you don't know how many people.
What I mean, right?
Yeah, I do understand.
All right, in that case, I go against it.
Oh, you go against it.
It's wrong, actually.
It's actually wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
So how does this contrarianism work? Is it, in this case, are you against what you just said? Because you said it, and I just agreed
basically
with you,
my strategy at the moment is that I put stuff out as a question, sort of to feel the room, and then based on what the other person says, I do the opposite. So if I put out like a kind of an idea, if I go like, you know, all the clouds being left behind by planes, you know, that's got chemicals in it that go into the ground and fill our crops with chemicals that make us gay, right?
Yeah, and then I say,
that's what's happening.
No, it's just condensation left.
And then I say, wrong, it is.
Okay, all right. Okay,
so I've sort of put out.
So it's a pretty bad format for an yes and improvisational thing that we probably do most of the time.
I disagree. I think it's awesome.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. All right, I guess I'll just continue then. I guess I'll
It
deal
is
with it
kind
somehow.
of the antithesis, isn't it? But yes,
Yes, I know. That's
In hindsight.
I realized
In
as you were describing it, I was like, well, no and. Yes and no and,
no,
you know?
different. No, wrong.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. But anyway,
Welcome. You know what?
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
you for listening to Dead Ensigns that this show isn't.
Live Ensigns.
I'm not Ben. Wait, no, I can do this. He's not Ben.
I'm he's
not
Max. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And this isn't God's favorite podcast.
And we do not talk about media, general media.
I'm basically
and
just
Star Trek
starting
sometimes.
to slide into like it's opposite day.
And then we
like isn't quite.
And we do talk
same.
about Star Trek every episode.
Now you've just alienated. Like we got one guy finally come up, go like, finally, they're not talking about Star Trek anymore. They haven't talked about the Star Trek for like 7 months.
70 episodes, I'm pretty sure at this point.
It's
When
been
I was
a
like,
bit.
I was trying to try to track it by
It has
titles.
been. It hasn't been 70 episodes.
I don't know, man.
Wait, did you
It's
say
been a lot.
70 or 17?
70.
It's been less than 70 because we talked about
You think
Section
so?
31 at the beginning of the year, and that would have been
doesn't
like
count. It
there's
doesn't
a
break
freaking
the
Star Trek
chain.
movie.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't break the what is it, like a daily Duolingo streak? Is that what you're saying? That's how it
You
works?
said we haven't talked about Star Trek in 70 episodes.
Yeah, but it's like I'm adding them up, in a way,
You're
without
adding
breaks.
them up.
Yeah, but it doesn't count that we spoke about Star Trek for one episode when the episodes
We
before
didn't.
that, there was like 40
a big
before
part of the
that.
episode was us talking about that whole movie.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, because people that come here to listen to Star Trek aren't gonna be like, oh yeah, and they're gonna be talking about a Star Trek again, probably.
Well, all right.
today,
If you wanna discount that, we talked about the end of Discovery like 53 episodes ago.
But hopefully that will break again when Strange New Worlds actually comes out, which might be soon.
Soon is July time, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Talked about it
So
last time.
anyway, but
that shit ain't out now. So
No.
fuck it. You know what is coming out this week?
yes, what's coming out this week?
I'm asking you. I
Oh,
don't
you-
know. I don't have
okay,
I don't
you
buy
don't
the
know.
newspaper anymore.
Okay, you don't take the free metro or whatever from the bus when you take
No,
the
I
bus.
find that with the contrarianism thing, it takes longer to read the news now because I have to like argue against it before I just read it and go, interesting.
Okay.
I see.
To who do you argue this against?
It's like image training. It's
Do you
mental.
create a straw man? Is that what you're saying?
I create an opponent in my mind.
Okay.
It's like when you have a game of chess out and you do a turn and then you go over to the other side and you're like, well, how would I counter that?
It
like
sounds
that.
like you are trying to induce like an episode, like a mental episode. Like it does.
No,
oh
no,
yeah,
no,
of course not.
no.
Yeah, I can't talk
Incorrect.
to this guy now. I can't talk to this guy now.
Yes, you can.
Oh yeah.
You're incorrect. You can.
That's true. I guess it's false.
It's
I
honestly
don't know.
foolproof. Max, what
It
comes out
is
this
full.
week?
For what comes out this week is a thing that we said release. So we did say a couple of episodes ago.
I don't know if we said it. I don't know if we said it in the show. I think we
Yes,
just
we
talked
did.
about it outside.
We
of the
said
episode.
that we will cover it because it's coming out. Do you want to do it? And I
Alright.
left it in the episode, so therefore technically it is still in the episode.
Okay,
So, because you're trying to be contrarian again, of course, that was part of the bit.
I still don't believe you, but continue. I don't want to hold it.
Yeah. But anyway, 28 years later is coming out this
28
week.
series.
So we watched the days.
It's been 28 years since the
Yeah.
first movie. The series is finally back.
You threw me off saying that. I was like, what?
Why would
It's
that
like
throw you off? Why else would they be making the movie if not for it being 28 years later since the release of the first film?
I don't think 28 days later, 8 weeks later didn't come out 28 weeks later after 28 days later.
It came 28 years is 28 years after the release of the first film. 28 weeks was 28 weeks after the release of the first film. And 28 days was 28 days after the release of the film.
Was it? Oh, you mean because you mean in the fiction of the world.
No,
that's what you mean. I thought it was in real life. I was like, what the fuck are you talking at? I was like, what the fuck are you saying? I was like, did this movie come out like 2002? And I was like, how is it come out 28 years later?
It came out at some point
soon,
28 years ago. And now we find... It's like, Twin Peaks. They had, 25 years, and then 25 years later they had The Return.
That's true.
It's the same thing, but with the days. We should come up with a better title for this franchise. Like the Calendar Series.
The Calendar Series is pretty good,
because they're all date-based names,
Yeah. What is centuries? 28 centuries?
28 centuries.
You have 28 decades if you want to go.
28 decades will probably be the first one.
Yeah.
After 28 years,
You can go back, make a prequel, 28 hours, then 28 seconds. You can.
It is weird that they jumped over months. We had days, then weeks. Do you think Danny Boyle was yeah, let's make it 28 months later, that'll be the next one, and all the studios were like, meh.
Yeah, the 28 weeks later didn't do too well, so...
No thanks. Yeah, 28 weeks later kind of fucking sucked ass, so no thanks.
Kind of bad.
We need a bigger gap, and then we'll make years. And then after that, who knows?
Exactly.
28 weeks plus one.
You have zombies in space.
28 fortnights. 28 fortnights later.
28 full moons later, and they're werewolves or something like that. I don't know.
28 leap years later. I think the Calendar Series has really good legs. You can see it on Disney Plus now. The Stars part of the program. Yeah. Calendar Series.
The Calendar
Days,
Series.
weeks, years, and then new series coming out fortnight.
Yeah. We have to start inventing ways to describe periods of time because we ran out of real ones.
28 ages later.
Yeah,
28 generations.
That's a good one.
And it will be about how they have to get the main character of all the various 28 movies in, they all get in a portal,
God damn
you got Jeremy Renner, you got you got what's his nuts, Oppenheimer.
What is he called? I have to open. Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy, thank you. Whoever's in the new one, they all. I think it's the fucking Kick-Ass.
Is it Kick-Ass?
It is Kick-Ass, I think.
28 years later. Yeah. Well,
they all come through a portal. And they have to fight the super rage zombie. They have to fight the mastermind. 28 generations.
If you're saying that the rage virus came from the future somehow, they gotta go
Monkeys
chase after
from the future.
The monkey, and then you do a perfect crossover with the
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes
Planet
movies.
Of the Apes.
It's,
and whole time it's only ever in the UK, never gets out.
Yeah, exactly.
They did in 28 weeks later. That shit was so stupid, bro.
You have the 28 years later crossover the Planet of the Apes, and
Yep.
you have they're in the future, and you see the Big Ben, and it's sunk in the sand, and the guy goes on his knees and goes, "No,
You wankers blew it up. Damn you all to bloody hell."
Yeah, exactly. He's got a British accent, so
he's
you
like,
know.
instead of kneeling down in the sand, like in Planet of the Apes, he kneels down into like a pile of bottles and syringes in the Thames River.
Yeah. In a rain puddle, because it rains in England.
A rainy puddle. Well, that's a plot point in 28 Days Later is they have to leave London because there's no water. Because it hasn't been raining. They were trying to catch the rain.
Yeah,
It actually
that is
wasn't
true.
raining.
Anyway, let's start talking about
28
the
Days
actual
Later.
movies. What do you think?
I saw this movie more than 10 years ago at this point for the first time when I was in college and probably doing media studies. And I was like, oh, this is like a British movie that I should probably watch, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't appreciate it then. I thought it was kind of silly. It opens with the activists trying to free the monkeys, and then the monkeys infect people with the virus, and then it all goes to shit. And I thought it was a bit silly. Watching it now, I have a much greater appreciation for it. I think it's a beautiful film. I love it.
Yeah, it is interesting stylistically, and just like it's so weird looking at it because it's the way I watched it. I watched it off of like a streaming service, and I was like, why does it look so bad? You know?
Because they shot it in standard definition, digital cameras.
They shot it in digital cameras, and I guess it's really hard, you know, to actually improve the quality of that footage in any way.
I mean, it's impossible without like the AI upscaling stuff we have
exactly.
now, basically.
But at the same time, it gives it a charm of sort, you know, like it does.
I think this is
like a stylistic choice, you know.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing with like Inland Empire, you know, where it's like it's inspiring because it goes to show you that, like, you know, the heart of these films, the thing that you really need is like you need a good story, good characters, and an eye for cinema, you know.
Yeah.
You don't need to have super expensive cameras to make a film that is very emotionally compelling and interesting. And I think it's in keeping with the era as well. It feels like something that really matches the world, fits into the whole vibe of the turn of the century, turn of the millennium, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kind of doomerism of those times too. People really, like reading about this movie, it was kind of a reaction to a lot of kind of contagions, right? There was the Ebola outbreak and a lot of that sort of stuff going around the time. The mad cow disease, the foot and mouth disease in the Britain specifically, that was kind of the inspiration, I guess, in a way, you know. It is interesting
but on top of that, it's like the like a Y2K and stuff and everything like that. It's like the emotional state of the society at the time as well, you know. It's because the whole thing is about emotion. The whole thing is about community and faith and love in the fellow man, you know, being able to weather against the storm of chaos that's coming against us, you know, and not succumbing to it.
Yeah,
because
and having
when we really
hope.
die. That's when we really die. Yeah, is when we lose the hope in ourselves and our fellow man, and live solitary, isolated lives of violence and fear. You know.
Yeah,
rage.
I do love the performances, like the way they kind of made the zombies, you know, react, and the way they move and stuff is very much just so much thought put into it to make them just scary. Like they look scary, the way they move, the way they kind of erratically, you know, shoot from angle to angle as they're like scanning the area. It's and just so many just iconic shots of like the London, of course, that was closed down. They closed it down for like 10 minutes so they could actually shoot that scene, you know, of him going across the bridge.
No, it's
on
various things. I think I think it's a bit of that, but it's like they would shoot all of that stuff at like 5:30 a.m., 5 a.m. in the summertime, so that they could get those shots without there being people walking around, because everybody was still either asleep or getting ready for the day and stuff, you know. And I think you can tell because the design of although they're empty and they feel apocalyptic because they're like so quiet.
Yeah.
The actual set design is obviously very barren. I think at most there's like an area where they've dumped like a bag of newspapers, and the most that you get is like a car in the middle of a crossing.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's it. The rest of it feels very empty, and if you focus on it, but that's not the point. The point is it's supposed to feel the complete solitude of it, you know. Solitude is the thing, because everybody's fled London because of
the center of the heart of England is empty of its blood, which is the people.
Yep. Very true.
Exactly. But yeah, it is very interesting to just kind of look at this movie in terms of like themes, you know, in terms of like what is it trying to say, you know, because it is like the military, like especially like that, I feel like it's very heavy on themes then, you know, when they finally make it to the military, and just like the ideology that the officer like has there, where he talks about how like they have to rebuild society, you know, but like in a way they're trying to rebuild a society their way, you know, like they're not doing it in a way where it's like they're looking at stuff objectively and taking into account, you know, people's well-being. They're just like, we're going to force society back into order, right? Especially with the, you know, immediately just withholding of women's, you know, basic bodily autonomy, you know, just immediately, you know, I promised them women, you know, he says, and it's like, it just sends shivers down your spine as you hear it, you know, because it's just so disgusting, you know. I really like the scene where they go to execute Cillian Murphy's character and the officer that's with him, the one that actually tries to help them. And he like just falls over this wall, and he just looks up and he sees that plane, and it just immediately hope carries him, basically. Like he becomes unstoppable in that moment as he realizes that there's hope, you know. And all the other soldiers they can't stop him because they lost all their hope, you know, and they even devalued themselves, you know, by trying to attempt the things that they were doing, you know. But yeah, it's it's, and also just the way they shot like there is a lot of close-ups and cuts on the thing.
It's a pretty claustrophobic film.
And it works in this movie. But I feel like the next movie does that also a lot.
The next movie suffers mostly from having to follow up this film, I think, is the main thing.
Exactly.
I think if 28 Weeks Later had come out on its own, it would be like, whatever. You'd be like, it's, you know, it's an okay zombie film, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But it has to follow up one of the best zombie films that's been made. But yeah, no, I like it. I mean, it's you know, rage and trust are kind of at the heart of the film as a whole. The zombies are subversive in that they're not supernatural or in any way, and they're not undead. They're literally just like people so filled with rage that they want to kill and kill. All they want to do is they see something alive and they just want to go and beat its brains in with their hands, you know. Rip it to shreds and bite into it like a crazed chimp, as it were.
That's true.
But how they get over it, and how and the hopeful ending, the hopeful note that the film ends on is in just like the communication of humans, right? Like they make the big sign that just says hello to the people flying over. It's like an acknowledgement that it's like they can't help them at the moment, but they want them to know that they're alive and stuff, you know? Like they're aware that everything's terrible here at the moment, but they're here and they're alive and they're they want to talk.
Yeah,
to you.
that's true. Yeah, making sure we're here, and you know, if you, that's a really good point.
It's you have that, but then there's also like the insidiousness of doomerism, essentially. You know, I think a lot of the times people are at their lowest when they end up succumbing to this rage virus. The most notable one being Brendan Gleeson's character, who following this radio signal to find these army guys all the way from London to like north of Manchester. They get to a blockade that's like deserted, and he's pissed off, and he doesn't get attacked or anything, but just like a little drop of blood. He kicks because a crow is like mocking him narratively. He goes over and kicks what the crow is on in a fit of like frustration, you know, and then just a little drop from a corpse drips down right into his eyeball, and then that's all it takes. He's gone, you know. He's succumbed to the idea that there's nothing left, you know.
Losing hope,
and the other army eventually. Well, I say turns up. The way it's presented is they were there the entire time, essentially, but hiding. Because they obviously didn't want to. I mean, knowing what we know about where it goes with the women and stuff, I wonder if like they were waiting to take shots on both the guys, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Waiting for an opportunity.
And
they eventually want to take the women, one of whom is pretty underage as well, you know?
Yeah.
So they can
breaking social taboos, and you know, just you know, it's like in the name of rebuilding society or whatever, they're just willing to kind of in their societies they're willing to do anything basically, but it's selfish. It's inherently selfish though, you know, like what they're doing. They're succumbing to rage in a different way. They're becoming monsters on their own, you know.
It's one of those movies where I feel like some people could look at it nowadays and do the whole like, oh, the real monster is man, blah 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 kind of thing. But it's like, no, it's about remaining hopeful. You know, it's about not succumbing to doom in the face of adversity and fighting against it and hoping and holding on to each other and trying to rebuild. Because the true death of us is when we lose our faith and hope in our fellow human, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's when we're really done.
Well, so that's what the first movie was about.
It's great, man.
It's a great movie.
I'm happy to have rewatched it. Had you seen it before? Had you already watched it?
Yeah, I've watched it, but I didn't remember it.
I
think it was like a while ago.
I couldn't quite remember.
Yeah.
On top of that as well, there's a lot of just like good world building in there, you know? I think I can see why a studio was like, I can see why people were so into the movie enough for a studio to want to make a sequel. Because, you know, there's a lot of just like minute details, like the most prevalent food that they can find, probably the stuff that has been able to last the longest is all like sugary drinks and stuff like that instead of water.
Highly processed foods, basically.
Yeah. So it's like they're not having very nutritious lives, and they end up getting headaches and stuff because of all the sugar and the crashing from the sugar. So their primary diet is like soda and painkillers, you know.
Painkillers and chips, you know.
All that stuff. Canned foods when they can find it, that kind of thing. It's a very rich. If you're like a survivalist kind of person, I can imagine being like into this movie in that sense, you know.
Yeah, and it is like a lot of, and also because of the kind of concept of the movies, like they don't even eat food that they need to cook because they don't have time basically to set up and cook. They have to move constantly.
Baked beans. Spaghetti hoops. Canned tuna.
Lovely spaghetti hoops.
I did like spaghetti hoops a lot as a kid.
Nah, I wasn't that into them.
And then the sequel. I'd never seen the sequel. Had you seen the sequel?
The only thing I remember about this sequel was that scene of him running away from the house and the zombies. Like, I feel like it's a pretty like iconic shot from that film. I think like people remember that shot of him like running away from the house, the father of the kids, and you can see all the zombies like slowly, zeroing in on them as they start being pulled from all the directions behind him. But not much else. I forgot that Renner was in this movie completely. I didn't remember at all that was a thing.
Yeah.
But not much. Yeah.
All I knew is that it was like a bad follow-up to the first film.
Yeah, I thought.
I can understand and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think the interesting thing is that the first movie does so much with like so little,
Yeah.
Whereas this film very clearly has like a much better budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
And does so much less outside of the spectacle of some scenes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's this feels outside. It's like a fine zombie movie, much more like what's the word I'm looking for? It's what you would expect,
Yeah.
Whereas the first one is like pretty subversive. This is a lot more like, it's just kind of a straightforward zombie film.
And that, and also this movie is like so fucking corny in places. It's so like the like, and it's over the top, and so, like the idea, like the entire kind of, I don't know, like crux of the movie of him leaving his wife behind,
Yeah.
I feel like it's like you look at that scene and I understand the guilt of it, that idea of like you living with that guilt of like not turning around and running and saving them. It's like, I don't know, man, you didn't have any opportunity. Like they could have at least like make the scene in a different way to make it more obvious that he like completely abandoned them. He had an opportunity.
There should be a more obvious cowardice there,
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like the movie tries too hard to make him seem like a coward when
like a monster.
His reaction
is,
but his reaction is like pretty fair, I guess.
Yeah. You're like he like runs away from the movie. It's like the scene that I was talking about. He runs away, and you see like 200 zombies behind him, It's like
especially when they have kids. Like if one of them at least can survive the situation, surely that's better than both of them going out. But at least it's like a brave going out. I don't know, not even brave, because it's like he wouldn't be saving anybody; they'd just die. Yeah,
it's like. And then on top of that, like the idea that the kids are gonna come back, and if they can imagine they came back and there were no like him or her, like it's like how would they? I guess because it's like they said they were living in a refugee camp, before that, so it's like they would have just been stuck in that refugee camp, I guess,
It's the basis. It's the starting plot point of the film, and it's very flimsy, and
it's very
just
flimsy.
Generally it's a weak film. They try and introduce the cure essentially, which seems to be, I don't think it's literally supposed to be heterochromia stops it, but I guess it's supposed to be a part of heterochromia that stops it.
It's
or
like
at least
implying that
some way.
Genetic asphyxiation that also exposes itself as heterochromia, I think, is. So they needed a visual gag to show you that the kid is also like immune, right? That's what they needed, right? That's the only reason why they had
the visual storytelling.
Yeah, the most like the visual language of visual story, or a sledgehammer equivalent of that. It's just the most obvious thing. But yeah, it's what else is there? There was this movie looks weird too. And I was like, why? I was watching it. I was like, why does this look so weird? And it's like, oh yeah, because they're doing Day for Light stuff in this movie, right? A lot.
There's a good amount of that.
and the reason for it was like I didn't think of that is because the kids, like the kid was there, right? And they can't shoot at night with a kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's an interesting kind of limitation to have to work around. And also when they did
really bad night scenes as well, just like impossible to tell what's going on.
Exactly, it's like the just shadows, clear shadows and stuff that you can see. It's like it's distracting. It's just like it's the scene where they're about to get rescued and he fucking uses the helicopter to chop the zombies with the rotor blade. I'm like, what is going on?
It's way more actiony. There's a lot of gunfire and stuff. There's big American characters, It's way more standard.
They
and a lot stupider.
Yeah, a lot.
Like I don't want to say that the American military hasn't done a very bad job planning stuff that has then led to like horrible tragedies in the past.
Yeah.
But the fact that like they just round up all the civilians and put them in a big room and then turn off the lights and then don't lock the door or anything, and then a zombie just kind of wanders into the room, and that being like that's why everything goes bad is like, holy, that's stupid. That's really flimsy. That's horribly weak.
Yeah, well, just the idea that the janitor card is the same one that they keep the contagions, like, quarantine he has access with that card to the quarantine patients ward. Is just like, why would
also like he really it's interesting that like he can express enough intelligence to like, I can use my key card to get everywhere in the facility, even though he's a rage fueled zombie, it feels like it would make sense that he would forget that he has a key card and just like slam against doors and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know.
It's such
and
a
all the guards are so heavily armed, but he manages to just take out like so many immediately with no problem. It's just man, I don't know. This movie's it's not good. And on top of all of that, it's like it really feels like the antithesis to the first film.
Yeah,
first film ends on this such positive, like hopeful note and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like it's anti-hope. This movie.
Yeah.
It ends with like the kid that they find out is able to possibly stop everything that they can maybe find a cure from. They take him over to France, and then the stinger of the movie is that now France is infected, and it's like, well, damn. No, you can't do anything good in this world because it will be bad in the end, I guess. Is the message here.
All your attempts at trying to, because it's like, virus, it has no borders, like that. Wow. Okay. Exactly. And it's just like the portrayal of, like, I guess it tries to layer that bad portrayal of the military, I guess, from the first movie, right? Where it's like incompetence, in the sense. I don't know. It's just the thing about the first movie and its portrayal was that it was a disorganized military. It was like the idea of like, these are just guys that are LARPing at this point, they're LARPing as soldiers. And in this one, it's just like, just the sheer incompetence, and just the idea of like, oh yeah, we're gonna return all these people before we even clean the houses here, and stuff like that. It's so dumb, like they couldn't wait even more time. They had to start returning people now.
America just really wanted to populate the UK again, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
They were just like, let's fly. Let's not leave this to the European Union to sort out. We'll fly across the Atlantic to go and deal with this ourselves, I guess.
Free real estate, Yeah,
I guess so. And, you would have thought nobody would be able to set foot there for a good couple of years, because it would be like a democratic nightmare, right?
Yeah, definitely.
There'd be so much red tape, And on top of that, I feel like it'd be like The Zone and Stalker. People would be sneaking in there from the channel,
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that would be a more exciting or interesting sequel to do if you did like adventure tourists.
Yeah, that's true. That'll be that's a pretty cool idea. It feels like the third one, like the from the trailer. It feels like it's going to be that way, where it's going to be Stalker-esque, where they're like venturing into the zone, you know?
Yeah, well, the way the trailer looks is that it looks like England has reverted to some sort of like medieval society.
Yeah.
They have like little communes and stuff, and everything is very isolated. And there's like a Tower of Bones for some reason. I'm looking forward to find out what's going on in this one, because Alex Garland is back and Danny Boyle is back, so hopefully it'll have something there like the first film had.
It would be interesting to see how they because I don't know even what developments we really get, because that's the thing about the second movie, is that the plot happens, right, and then nothing changes at the end, right, except I guess the virus spreads outside the borders, but I don't know, I don't feel like we needed the happenings of the movie to happen for it to spread outside the borders. I don't know, it's so weird, I don't know if they're even gonna acknowledge the second movie in any way in this one, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would personally just ignore it. It was just so against the grain, and not in a good way or an interesting way. It was like the grain that was set up in the first film is that this is an interesting subversive world,
Yeah.
And it goes against the grain. It's contrarian to that by making it way more way more easy to read, and
it's
stupider,
popcorn,
just dumber across the board. There's maybe a couple thousand people or something that have taken refuge in this in this little area of London, right?
Yeah.
And a good amount of them become infected in the big scene when everybody gets infected again. But then by the end of the film, it feels like all of London is populated by zombies again somehow.
Exactly. It's how would they...
Surely this is only maximum 1,500 people. And these people are going all across London. And now it feels like London or the whole country is filled with zombies again somehow.
Yeah, it's they're their father, chasing after them specifically. It's so dumb. I get the subtlety is dead in this movie of just their father just being divinely punished. He is punished.
Yeah,
this is divine fucking punishment to him because he kisses his wife, because that's how he gets infected, right? He kisses his wife.
That's tonguing his wife sloppily while she's strapped to the table.
Sloppily, and then he he puts his fingers in their eyes and stuff, and I'm
when he rages out, it's very excessive
visceral
to that lady. It's a bit it feels a bit much.
Yeah, it's I
feel like you could just kind of we can infer what's going to happen,
Yeah,
and then they make sure to also show a scene when they firebomb London. The fire gets in and incinerates what's left of her as well. It's okay. All right, I get it. She's dead. Why do we have to linger on this, man? Yeah, I don't know. If it didn't have the first film, I could imagine this being did you know there's this weird British horror film that came out in the mid-aughts that nobody really talked about? It was fine. It was pretty interesting. The zombie acting was pretty coul. It had Jeremy Renner in it. But because it's a follow-up to a really fucking good movie, it does it a lot of harm. And hopefully it won't be the same for this one and the sequel that's supposed to come out next year.
Yeah, that's
There's
interesting.
another movie that's coming out next year. Still written by Alex Garland again, but not directed by Danny Boyle. It's directed by the lady that did the Candyman one from a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
And I quite like that. I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good. No, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, exactly. But
28 days later, though. Great
28 days. Data. 28 days.
28 datas later, and
28
data.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
28 dates later, and you go on 28 dates with
28
someone.
dates later, and it's Adam Sandler.
It's Adam Sandler, and he's dating a zombie.
It'd be good, like a Hubie Halloween 2 type of deal. Hubie Halloween 2, 28 dates later.
You have 28 pints later, and it's Danny Dyer going for 28 pubs. Because Danny Boyle, Danny
28
Dyer.
hard blokes later. That sounds more like a porno, actually. It's not in keeping with the...
That's a porn parody.
Yeah.
No,
definitely.
I just immediately my mind just got flushed with so many like porn titles for porn parodies. I don't want to say them.
Well,
it's too easy.
We'll leave it up to the imagination.
Comment your porn parodies.
Comment your favorite
for titles for the 28 years days calendar, the calendar series.
28 polls later. Am I right, everybody?
Jesus, this is disgusting.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well. All right.
We'll see if Danny Boyle reclaims some respect after yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot to mention that is yesterday. He directed yesterday.
That's like the last film he made before this. 28 years later. I think he did like some other stuff, but it was like small as like TV and stuff. And then, bam, we're back in the movies. Sorry about yesterday. That one kind of sucked.
A missed opportunity in the second movie to have David Bowie come in. He's like, I'm immune too. And there's spiders on Mars.
Yeah, the thin white Duke.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what era he was in 2000 and whatever.
I think he was just sort of a regular guy at that point.
Yeah, he was just, I'm David Bowie now.
I think he was like... semi-retired, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know anything about it.
Because I think Black Star came out like way after, and that was when he was
Black Star came out after he died.
Yeah, but you still recorded it, before. But anyway, was it Black Star? That's what I don't remember what that album was called.
I don't know anything about David Bowie except for that.
What else?
Cool, I guess. What else? You played the Alters, right?
Yeah, I played the Alters. Enjoying it. Is 11-bit Studios. I hope this game sells well because Frostpunk 2 didn't sell well.
It was supposed to be pretty good though, right?
I like Frostpunk 2. A lot of people don't like Frostpunk.
They make the games too damn expensive, man.
You think they should? What do you mean? You saying the games aren't worth it, or in general?
No, it's just generally games are just too damn expensive these days, right?
That's true, and they're gonna get more expensive. We already talked about Outer Worlds last episode, so that's why the indies are gonna come in. They're gonna be. That's where you
isn't this an indie?
I don't know. That's like a AA, I would call it, rather than a.
Fucking naming convention doesn't make any sense, man.
I really don't get it either. But
I guess three things you have: a indie, AA, and AAA.
Yeah, what's a single
that shit
A
doesn't
game?
make any sense.
That's not indie.
Remember how they were trying to do quadruple A with Skull and Bones?
Skull and Bones,
the first quadruple A game.
For some reason, the geniuses in marketing had to sell that turd somehow. So they're just like, let's come up with a new term to call it,
That game took
Crystal
like a million years to come out. How crazy is that?
It is insane how much money they burn.
Like that game, because I remember it having a lot of traction when it first got revealed. People were like, yo, Ubisoft pirate game, Sea of Thieves is dead. Finally, a game that feels like you're playing Assassin's Creed 3 pirate ship. Yeah, or Assassin's Creed, I can't remember.
Black Flag.
Was. Black Flag pirate ship. Yippee. 10 years later, game comes out, nothing like it, and everybody hates it.
And it's a MOBA. You're a ship a MOBA-esque ship where you got abilities that you cast as a ship, and you're like, what the fuck is
That's
this?
terrible, man.
It's
How do you
a horrible
fuck that
thing. By having like 20 years of development and no vision.
Yeah. Frostpunk 2 was £38.
Yeah, they were hoping to get a bit more from after Frostpunk 1 because they put more effort into it. Like they were,
It makes sense.
Like
That's
they
fair.
put more.
Alters £27. That ain't too bad.
It's a bit less. I guess it has a bit less of a wide appeal because Alters is a very heavy kind of story game.
Mm-hmm.
It has elements, of course, has gameplay, like actual gameplay in it, with the kind of colony management aspect of your character and the passengers that he has on in his moving base. And I'm really enjoying it. I really got hooked into it. It is stressful. It does feel stressful at times, and I feel like that's the thing that people bounce off of a lot, especially with like the games that 11-bit Studios been putting out, like Frostpunk 1, even Frostpunk 2. This War of Mine was it was a fantastic game with a fantastic kind of theme to it, but it is extremely if you get immersed, because like that's the thing. They are very immersive games in my opinion. You do get, like, when I was playing Frostpunk 2, my head was like on fire. Like I was thinking so much, about what I was doing because I was immersed in the world that the game was presenting, that it was tiring to play. Like I was tired, exhausted after playing the game because I was so thinking about what I was doing, and in Alters 2, Jesus. Alters is also a game where you make a lot of choices. You need a lot of trade-offs. You can't satisfy everybody. It's that sort of game where you have to push yourself extremely hard. Where you have to optimize to try to get these things. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It has a lot of like, I haven't finished the game yet, so it is interesting how it's gonna crescendo. How is it gonna end? But up to this point, I've been really enjoying it, so I recommend it.
Cool.
For now. We'll see after next episode if I go like, this game sucks, the ending was horrible, something. But currently, I recommend the Alters. What about you, Ben?
I just remembered we didn't bring this up because I forgot about it. The kid in 28 Weeks Later is played by a guy who has an incredible name.
Yeah.
Macintosh Muggleton. I had a tab open to bring it up, and then I forgot. Macintosh Muggleton.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
It sounds, like I said, it was like very Harry Potter. It feels like even, I don't know, like it has like a weird magical vibe to it, Macintosh Muggleton.
Best of luck to you, Macintosh.
He's the only wizard in Hogwarts that knows how to use a computer. He's their IT specialist.
That is what J.K. Rowling would call, like...
Yeah.
It's better, like, and they're not a wizard as well. Like, it's Harry's friend who's good with computers.
Yeah, PC router or something like that. I don't know.
Macintosh Muggleton.
PC modem, that's his name. Macintosh Muggleton is a strong name. He hasn't done much, unfortunately.
Well, you got two more fans here, Mac and Tosh. I haven't done a lot this week.
You started watching the Final Destination movies.
Yeah, I watched the first two. There's not much to say on those.
Mm-hmm. Are you not afraid of death?
I think in this present moment, no.
Okay.
I think I'm definitely the kind of person that I accept death as a part of life,
Mm-hmm.
But if I were in the moment about to be killed, I'd probably be panicking, yeah.
That's
I probably
true.
wouldn't want to die, but in this exact moment where I'm not facing that panic, I have the privilege to be able to say I'm not too bothered, I think.
I'm indifferent to death.
Yeah, I hadn't seen them before, so I started watching them because I wanted something to have on. And they're fun. They're as schlocky as I expected them to be, but also more entertaining than I thought they'd be as well.
Well, I haven't seen them in so long that I don't remember any of them.
A lot of gory kills.
Yeah, isn't that what people went to see them for, right?
They love gory kills.
They like how innocent people get killed. Are they innocent? Are they innocent in this movie, except for the fact that they survived that plane crash?
The only crime is that they avoided death.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's the
but
concept.
Even then, it's like, they don't really avoid death, though, right? Like, it's not like they've become immortal. I don't understand what Death's problem is, and it's just because he's like really anal about his design, I think.
Yeah, or like he's just very salty for some reason. Specifically these
it's
people.
Very petty because it's like they're not immortal. They're going to die eventually still, but the fact that they didn't die in how he planned right there, he gets pissed off. He's like, well, fuck them, I guess. I'm gonna make the next 3 months of my work entirely on killing those 5 people.
I like the idea in that movie that like nobody has died. Nobody else is dying. Like death is not happening.
That's what I was thinking
watching
watching this. I wonder if these situations are set up, pre-planned by the government in order to like make it so that, okay, we've secured 4 weeks when nobody else is gonna die. It will be nobody will notice either. People won't notice that nobody died for like 4 weeks straight.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep doing that every now and then, just until we've solved the declining birth rate, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why else they would be doing it, really.
Yeah, we need to take vengeance on these teenagers, young adults, not teenagers. Teens.
Yeah, they never do anything wrong. They just kind of were supposed to die, and then they don't. Some of them are like kind of assholes, but not really.
They don't appreciate life.
They don't really
so they get punished.
Life, yeah. They do appreciate life. Like in the first film, they're all going to experience, they're all expanding their knowledge of the world. They're going to France, they're going to Paris.
But they're going to be like
a different culture, learn, grow.
They're going to be like bad tourists that piss in a fountain or something, I bet.
Maybe. But isn't that what life is about?
Yeah.
Sometimes fountains are pissed in, and sometimes memories are made.
He's final destination Europe. He's like in Krakow, Poland, pissing in a fountain. And then what happens is the fountain shoots a little bit of water out as he's pissing. He slips on the puddle and his penis falls into the thing where the water comes out of, and it inflates him, the water, through his penis, and he explodes, dies.
It is funny how all of them have like the same. They're all trying to be subversive. So the fact that they're all subversive means that they're all very predictable. You know.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are like, there's gonna be a big Rube Goldberg setup that nearly kills them, and then one small unexpected thing is gonna happen and kill them. You know.
Yeah. Well,
so they become predictable in how unpredictable they are. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
like the guy is in the apartment on fire and everything. He's got his hand stuck in the drain.
Yeah.
Eventually he pulls it out and you're like, oh, okay, he's going to slip on the spaghetti throughout the beginning of the scene and then like get impaled by something. Lo and behold, slips on the spaghetti.
How unfortunate.
Also, I was it very quickly follows the horror movie thing of like the first film is kind of like taking itself kind of seriously, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And then second film, they're like, we know why you're here. We know you're here to see some big crazy kills. Here you go. This time it's like the first film is like 6 people or something, right? Second film, it's like fuck it. It's like 12 people.
Yeah,
They're all
load
gonna
them
die
up.
crazy ways.
Load them up, you know.
And also,
It's
the
easy.
initial death that gets avoided is going to be even crazier than before. It's going to be this
that's
big
true.
sequence of various car crashes in like nobody just crashes the car and dies. They have to like crash it, flip over, fall in a trench of snakes that all come in, and like they all go into your body and you explode with snakes.
Snakes.
And then a truck runs over the snakes.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get revived and you slip and fall or something like that, you know. But it has to be a cool gig though, as a writer, to write that sort of movie, because
it's probably fun. You probably have a lot of fun making those movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they made a good
just
amount of them over the course of 10 years.
Yeah, you just kind of like come up with like these ideas. I don't know, like it is definitely would be like maybe to listen to like on your second screen like a recap of like the story, just to like someone compiling what the actual like story beats are. Because I got watching these movies and assembling that myself, you know.
I do wonder why Final Destination went away for so long, but Saw kind of had a lot more cultural momentum.
Maybe you got tired faster? I don't know. Like, but Saw also got pretty tiresome later on in the series.
Saw got tiresome faster, I would say.
Yeah.
Personally. You don't think?
I don't know. Like, I haven't personally watched all of them, so
I think it says about our society is that people would rather watch mildly bad people horribly punished than random people become victims of fate.
Yeah, but because fate is scary, serial killers are not scary, you know?
Well, that's it. You got to be careful calling him a serial killer, because I'm pretty sure the point, the crux of those movies is that he goes, I'm not killing them directly, though.
You're not appreciating
I
life.
give them the ability to save themselves, and they don't do it. That means I'm not a killer. It's like,
that's true.
Come on, Jigsaw.
I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna be in a room with you, and we're gonna be in like a made up room that looks like a podcasting recording setup, but it's a jigsaw trap of some sort, you know?
Yeah. What would our podcast crime be?
No, what did you say?
I said, what would our podcasting crime be that Jigsaw tells us about?
Slop content, maybe? You guys
I
like
don't know if
creating
we're
slop content.
slop.
You guys like to create slop content. Let's see how every minute you record is going to be it is going to be turned into a millimeter of water or something like that. That's going to be pumped into you or something, and you're going to explode. I don't know. Something like that. It's just to like stick it in us for polluting the internet more.
Maybe it's like every minute of slop you recorded, I've converted into a millimeter in this tank. This tank is the total amount of slop you've put out in minutes, in millimeters, and it will slowly fill with slop.
Yeah.
Unless you
like a literal slop, yes. Yeah.
Unless you stop recording it.
Stop recording.
I don't know. It's not working.
Yeah, exactly. Like it would be hard to make a podcasting crime. I feel like,
it's got to be less fun to make the Saw movies than Final Destination.
Yeah,
surely.
And then we escape the trap, and I go like, oh, thank God he didn't use. I say like my character in this scenario says that like, oh, thank God he didn't know that I hit that kid with my car that one night. You know.
Yeah.
And then you look at me, like, what? You know? Because I'm an evil person in the end, you know? Turns
That's fucked up.
You say you helped me.
The really evil one, yeah.
Yeah, I was the real evil one, you know?
And then in the sequel,
I'm
the one getting punished for helping you, and you don't even turn up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, Jigsaw, I didn't know.
And then at the end of the thing, I take off the Jigsaw mask. I'm the Jigsaw, you know. I'm one of his like proxies, you know.
A lot, then,
yeah.
I mean, that's what the first movie is. You remember the guy in the middle of the room? He was Jigsaw.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoiler
you
alert.
Know.
It's like 23 years old. Who cares?
It's so old at this point, you know.
Yeah. So
we should
do a movie. What?
I feel like we should make a podcast where it's all spoilers. We make a just gigantic list of like spoilers for different media that we just list out for an entire for episodes worth of stuff, you know. And you
not
listen
quite
to it.
Understanding the unique selling point here.
I don't know. It's just to like I don't know. You listen to it and then you're like, oh, look at all the spoilers I know, and then you encounter a spoiler you don't know, and you're like, fuck, they spoiled it for me, you know?
It feels very performance art sort of thing.
Because then
but
you're
the lamest
indulging
performance art maybe ever created.
If you're when you know the spoilers, you know that like you didn't get spoiled, then you're indulging in other people getting spoiled. But when you get spoiled, you're like, fuck, you know?
It's like the world's worst provocateurs. Where it's like instead of making a movie about like a taboo topic or something, you know, or making music a piece of art about something really taboo, they're just like Bruce Willis is a ghost in The Sixth Sense. Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father.
Yeah.
But the person still needs to voluntarily listen to it.
Yeah.
So they probably wouldn't. They'd be like, well, I don't want to get spoiled. Yeah. It's like when somebody makes a movie about like necrophilia or something.
Necromantic.
Exactly. That people people who don't want to, people will not want to watch it, but then there will people who will be like, this movie shouldn't be made in the first place. This is leading to a decline in our society and stuff, you know, degeneracy and whatnot. Well, I feel like if we just like the provocateurs who make the spoiler podcast is like, wow, the kind of reaction they would get. Honestly, probably persecuted harder.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I think people these days care more about their precious media consumption more than they do about actual real life problems like taboos.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
actual real life taboos.
That's what 28 Days Later is about.
True.
About rage.
Facts. True. Like at the beginning of the movie, the monkey that's like sitting in the chair tied up watching the fucking various news, but instead of the horrible like footage of crowds and stampedes and violence, is corpses. Like it's just a bad podcast
of people listing spoilers.
Just arriving around like
we didn't even infect it with any virus. It just
we haven't put the rage virus in him yet. This is the monkey we're getting the rage virus from.
Yeah, exactly.
It's taken
manifests
out
in it. Yeah. Yeah. Jesus. All right.
It's so bad that when the activists turn up, they don't even bother saving that monkey. They just kill it right there.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
takes
God.
the pliers or whatever, the cutters, and he just smashes its brains in. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Dead Ensigns, number one the Calendar Series podcast. We love the Calendar Series here, and we're so excited to talk about 28 Years Later next week. If you're going to go see that movie, then you can let us know how you feel and listen next week, and we'll talk about it on the podcast by emailing us, deadensigns@gmail.com. If you don't want to email, you can leave it in the YouTube comment of this episode, where you can find us on YouTube. You can listen to the podcast there. You can like, comment, subscribe there. But if you don't want to use YouTube, you can go to regular podcasting places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and various other locations, and listen to it there. Like, subscribe, rate, whatever options they have for you. That would be appreciated. But until next week, when we talk about that stuff, bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good week. See ya.
Have a good 28 weeks.
There's got to be some denomination of time that we can say the next episode is 28 that of afterwards, right?
Definitely.
This is 28 nano hours. Just so happens to be 1 week. All right, bye.
It's shorted out, sir. We're gonna have to phaser it.
Then what are you waiting for?
Right away, sir.
Faster would be better, Ensign.
I can't, sir. We don't want to...
That's enough.
But, sir...
Stand aside, Carlton. I'm going through.
You're alive. Good.